First, it was rhetoric. Now, it's reality. It's being widely reported that a massive Russian nuclear arsenal is being transported both by land and by sea to the vicinity of Ukraine. A transportation that threatens to escalate this conflict to the point of no return. We're going to analyze those reports. We're going to take a look at what to expect from this escalation, and make sure to stick with me at the very end of this video when I'll show you just how insane liberal globalist elites really have become. You are not going to want to miss this. Here's a report from the Times and the Telegraph. NATO leaders are claiming that Russia's preparing to demonstrate its willingness to use nuclear weapons in the escalating conflict by conducting a nuclear test on Ukraine's borders. Now, part of the evidence offered for such comes from a Polish source, a Poland-based defense analyst, who said that a train convoy linked to the Russian Ministry of Defense was transporting equipment for Russia's nuclear weapons program in the direction of the front lines in Ukraine. Now, again, according to this report, it's a train operated by the secretive nuclear division of the Russian Armed Forces, and it's linked to the 12th Main Directorate of the Russian Ministry of Defense, which is widely known as being in charge of nuclear weapons testing. Now, it does need to be stressed that there are many who believe this report to be, well, frankly, bunk. That train is simply carrying standard conventional military hardware, nothing more. And they're pointing out that this report on the nuclear train transport is based largely on Polish military analytics and communicated through the British media. And the reason both are pertinent is because Britain and Poland are perhaps the single two most anti-Russian, anti-Putin forces in the whole of Europe right now. Poland is notoriously Russophobic, and Britain's leadership, starting with Boris Johnson and now Liz Truss, has been rabidly anti-Russian and anti-Putin, as has the bumbling Biden administration. In fact, officials from both Britain and the U.S. completely disrupted the peace talks between Ukraine and Russia that were being brokered in Turkey several months back. And so we do have to consider that the source for this, quote, death train, as one British outlet called it, are highly suspect in terms of their reliability. Now, as all of that is going on, we have at the same time reports that Russia appears to be deploying their Belgorod nuclear submarine to the region. The Belgorod submarine is a top-of-the-line nuclear-powered submarine that's rumored to have what many are calling a doomsday weapon known as the Poseidon weapons system, which is a drone equipped with a nuclear bomb that Russia's claimed is capable of creating a radioactive tsunami, which, if detonated near a coastal city, could produce 1,600-foot waves smashing onto coastal lands. It's all part of Putin's top-secret program aimed at developing and operating a series of new class of super weapons designed to give Russia massive leverage in an all-out war. The submarine has reportedly disappeared from the White Sea base at the northwest coast of Russia, where it's been active since July, and the concern is that it's being deployed to the Black Sea, which Russia now has total control over as a result of the annexation of the 4 regions in eastern Ukraine, in order to test and, of course, demonstrate the extraordinary nuclear capabilities of the Russian military. Now, all of that said, and even regardless of whether there's actual nuclear activity amassing around Ukraine, just the very perception of such brings this conflict to a whole new level, which of course begs the question, what's happening here? What can we expect to happen from all of this heightened activity? Well, at the very least, in terms of each one of us personally, we have to make sure that we protect our hard-earned assets from the insanity of the bumbling Biden administration's failed policies all across the board. And there's no better way of doing that than by investing in the timeless value of gold and silver. And no one makes that easier than the amazing patriots over at Goldco, the sponsors of this video. If you've got $50,000 or more in an IRA, 401k, or savings account, the patriots over at Goldco are here to make sure Those savings belong to you and your loved ones forever. In fact, they want you to succeed so much, they're offering you up to $10,000 in free silver if you open up an account with them. But that is a limited time offer, so do not wait. Click on that link below or visit my special website, turleytalkslikesgold.com. And we should be preparing for extraordinary levels of economic volatility, but I don't think we have to worry about the use of nuclear weapons. While we certainly can't take the rhetoric and reality of what's currently happening lightly, nevertheless, to the extent that they can be trusted, CIA and other analysts studying the Kremlin and the war in Ukraine have ruled out seeing any actual signs of an imminent Russian nuclear attack. There may indeed be a nuclear test, but an actual attack is far from happening. Now, we talked about this in yesterday's video on the Chechen leader's Kadyrov's call for the use of tactical nuclear weapons on Ukraine. Even the Kremlin immediately distanced itself from such calls. And that wasn't in order to placate Western sensibilities. It was to assuage China and India. Russia could care less about the West right now. Putin made that absolutely clear last Friday. But there's no imaginable scenario at this point that would allow China and India to continue to support Russia were Russia to launch a nuclear attack. It would be universally condemned, and it would totally isolate Russia, which Russia can't afford. It's recalibrated its economy around the Eurasian nations, the Middle East, China, and India. So I don't see any plausible scenario for Russia to launch a nuclear attack. However, saying that, ironically, the only ones who actually seem to be openly embracing the notion of nuclear war are the radical leftist ideologues in the West. A few years back, the far-left Huffington Post actually published an article, I kid you not, entitled, "Could a small nuclear war reverse global warming?" They were actually arguing that a small nuclear conflict would be good for the environment. This isn't the Babylon Bee. This is real. This is how absurd Western liberals have become. You've heard the phrase nuclear winter, right? Well, according to these leftists, a limited nuclear war would end up cooling the planet by 2.3 degrees Fahrenheit and thus effectively reverse global warming. The very fact that you even have a group of elites who even consider such a prospect shows how sick the West has become. So when all is said and done, it doesn't look like we have to worry about a nuclear Armageddon coming from Putin as much as we do coming from our own progressives. As always, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. You'll definitely want to check out my latest video I just uploaded on Bill Maher humiliating Kamala Harris, all as the woke left shatters. You're not going to want to miss it, so make sure to click on that link, and I'll see you over there. God bless.